punishment, accountability. Yeah? What do these words mean to you? Some people that they're kind of the same thing. When I think of punishment, I'm thinking of kind of like in a sports game, like a basketball game, right? You commit a foul, right? You only get 6 fouls and then you're out of the game, right? There's no way to get those. Once you have a foul, you're just kind of adding them up. That's punishment in my mind. And then eventually you're gone. With accountability, I'm think more like a credit card or a loan or something that you owe, right? There's a balance, you owe this amount, but once you take care of that balance, back at zero, everything's cool. Right? Accountability. What do you think about that though? I think that we want other people to be punished sometimes. We want other people to be held accountable. And, but what about when it's faced with us? Like when we are being punished, when someone's trying to hold us accountable, how do you feel then? How do you feel about it? The same way? What about when you feel like you're being punished unfairly, unjustly? What about when someone's trying to hold you accountable for something you don't believe that you did? Or maybe you did do it, but there's other factors involved and like it's going past what you deserve, if we go past what's deserved as far as punishment or accountability, then it just kind of gets into the area of abuse, in my opinion, What do you do? What do you do with these words? I think, like when we talk about discipline, which is a whole other word, right? Punishment, accountability, discipline. Discipline is for corrective measures to move you forward so you progress, right? There's no real progression with punishment. That's more like condemnation, you know what I'm saying? Being held accountable, you can get to a righteous standing again. And speaking of righteousness, right, when you add God into the whole mix of everything I've just said, there's a lot to think about, I know. But when you add God to it, like when it comes to sin, there's only punishment, there's only condemnation, right? So if you have not received, we're getting into Christianity and Christian beliefs and stuff now, but if you've not received Christ and his sacrifice on the cross, then there's only punishment. But if you are a Christian, so go Christian beliefs, you are now, you're not dealing with punishment, but accountability. But Jesus' blood has always eternally washed you clean, and therefore your account is always a balance of zero. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. That's a lot to think about, right? I know. But that's just part of life, though, I think. Part of life is punishment, accountability, discipline, these words. And part of life isn't fair. So sometimes you're going to be punished unjustly, unfairly. Sometimes people are going to try to hold you accountable for something that you didn't do, or they try to hold you accountable, but they're going to abuse their authority. Right? But it all comes down to how we choose to respond, how we will react. Right? If a cop pulls you over and you believe that that cop is treating you fairly for pulling you over, or about to write you a ticket, and there's other circumstances going on, and you don't believe that the cop is taking them into consideration, you still have to deal with the authority that is the cop. You still have to deal with that badge, right? So even though you're being treated unjustly, it still matters how you respond to those claims. And we have to respond differently depending on our situation. Oh, man. Life, right? I can only hope that all of us, being that life is kind of crappy and there's always this thing of punishment and discipline and accountability and there's all this unfairness, right? I can only hope that we will seek wisdom and always be ready, much as we can, to respond as we should so that things don't get worse, right? Can only hope.